everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I have for you guys my favorites of 2021 video. It's that time of year, so I am relinquishing my favorites list. I have 13-ish books to talk about. They're in no particular order except for the fact that the first 4 books are 4.5 stars and the rest of them are all 5 stars. And these are all of the books I gave 5 stars in 2021. However, these are not all of the books I gave 4.5 stars. I'm much more generous with 4.5 stars than 5 stars, so I cut it down. And also, none of these books, well, how to word this? All of these books I read for the first time in 2021. So I reread a lot of books this past year, and some of them are my favorite books of all time, but they're not on this list because they were rereads, if you catch my drift. So anyway, I have a feeling this video is going to be really long, so I'm going to jump right on in. So the first book I'm going to talk about is The Silent Patient. I read this book back in May. I read it in like 2 days. It was really good. Really good. Probably my favorite mystery thriller I've ever read. I'm not the biggest fan of mystery thrillers. I don't really have a lot of knowledge in the genre, but this twist took me completely by surprise and I really enjoyed it. It's about a man who is a psychologist, right? Criminal psychotherapist. There you go. And he starts to investigate this woman who is in a mental facility who refuses to talk to the police, and it is believed that she killed her husband. And so he's trying to figure out why she did it, why she's not talking, and he wants to be the psychotherapist to break her case and solve the mystery. It was really good. Recommend. Very nice. Yeah. The next book on this list is Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Really good. Amazing. It follows, what can I say? It follows a woman who has been married 7 times, and a journalist is writing her autobiography. Right? Is that right? Autobiography, biography? I'm an English major, but I can never remember. Anywho, it's told in an autobiography type of way. And Evelyn is like this really famous actress and celebrity, and she is finally divulging all of her secrets. And so, yeah, it's really good. The only reason it's not for 5 out of 5 stars is because the writing, Taylor Jenkins Reid and I have a complicated relationship, and this one is one of her books where I just didn't feel as connected to the writing or to the characters. This one, in my opinion, definitely has the best plot of the 3 books I've read by her, and one will be discussed later on. But I don't know, there was something about it. But maybe after reading one of her newest books and absolutely loving it, when I revisit this one, I may feel differently about the writing. But everything else was beautiful, amazing, top tier. So there's that. Okay, now these next 2 I kind of grouped together because I kind of have like similar feelings about both of them, and they're both in the same series. So the last 2 4.5 stars on this list are Fire and Bitter Blue, which are both part of the like Graceling realm series or world. Yes, I read Fire as an ebook and then I bought it. And then I read Bitter Blue last month. I enjoyed both of them a lot. I love this world. I love her writing. In comparison to the first one, which I will be talking about next, I thought the writing and the world building kind of like slipped a little in these two. But the romances, well, the romance in this one is really good. I wouldn't say the same about this one. I would say Bitter Blue is more political and less magical in world building, but I loved them both for different reasons. And I feel like they deserved a spot on this list because I really enjoyed them, and especially because I haven't read as much fantasy as usual this year. When I read these, it really reminded me of why I love the genre so much. So now I will talk about the other book I mentioned in that series, which is Graceling, and it's also the first 5-star book we're going to talk about. I read this one as an ebook as well, and I just absolutely fell in love with the story. I realize I haven't given you a synopsis yet. Basically, it's this world where there are a lot of different kingdoms, and each book follows different main characters, but their stories are all interconnected in different ways. And there's magic and politics and love. And Graceling, in my opinion, is by far the best written of the three. And I absolutely fell in love with the main characters, Poe and Katza. I love them. I'm a little obsessed with them, actually. And I just thought the world building was beautiful, and even though it was like a complex world, she made it seem so simple in this one, and everything was easy to understand, and it was just amazing. And I loved every single minute of this one, and that's why I got a 5 stars. It was great. I really want to reread it because some of our characters reappear in Bitter Blue, and I was just like, I need to reread Graceling now because it's just so good. Next book I'm going to talk about is one of the 2 ebooks that I don't physically have that are on this list, and that is The Love Hypothesis. I read this last month, and after seeing it all over TikTok and the internet for like 6 months, has it been 6 months? I don't know, it's felt like 6 months. I finally got it, and it lived up to the hype. This is the only romance on this list, and it was a 5 out of 5 stars. So it follows Olive, who is a doctoral candidate and at Stanford, and she does a lot of cancer research, and she ends up fake dating a professor at Stanford. And you know, things happen, and it was definitely a slow burn. It took a while. And I just loved Adam and Olive. I love them together. I love them separately. I am by no means a STEM person. I like really hate science, but it was very interesting reading more about the process of getting your doctorate, especially in the STEM field and academia and research. And even though I'm not a big fan of those things, it was easy to understand, and I don't feel like it took up or detracted from the romance. I don't know, I just thought it was excellent, and it was just really good. It made me happy. So 5 out of 5 stars. I have like no bad things to say about it. It was great. So there's that. Okay, next book. Next book, okay, is The Wicked King. The Wicked King. I have a whole spoiler-filled video about this trilogy. I will put in the cards for you guys if you want in-depth thoughts. This was the only book in the Cruel Prince, no, that's not what it's called, the Folk in the Air series I gave a 5 out of 5. It was by far the best in my opinion. This trilogy or series follows Jude, who is a human who has been adopted by a fairy lord, and she's taken into fairyland, and things happen. And it's very political. And in this one, I feel like the romance really kicks off, which is probably my favorite thing about this trilogy. I just thought it was great. The writing isn't, like, in my opinion, the best writing I've ever read, but I felt like it was the strongest in this one, and it was a lot more political, which I really enjoyed. And yeah, I really liked it, and this one's by far the most memorable of the three. So there's that. Okay, let's do this one. Let's do this one. Next book on this list should come as no surprise if you watched my January wrap up, maybe March, I don't know. What is time? Anyway, that is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. This book was very popular at the start of the year, and it still is, but it was really, really hyped at the beginning of the year. And I love V.E. Schwab. I think she's great. I'll read anything this woman puts out. And so I read it, and I really enjoyed it. 5 out of 5 stars. What can I say? So it's about, I feel like I've just talked about this so much already. It's about Addie, who has been forced into this marriage that she really does not want. And so she takes matters into her own hands and makes a deal with this, like, demonic evil force to escape the marriage and be free. But on the flip side of that, no one remembers her and no one remembers her name. And so she's kind of forgotten in history, and she becomes immortal. And so I really enjoyed seeing Addie's character grow, especially with the flashbacks and all throughout the centuries. Her story was really, really, I don't know, it just resonated with me. And then Henry's story, who is another main character, I really loved Henry. I know a lot of people either hate him or you love him, but I really loved Henry. And I loved all the characters, and I thought just the writing and the prose in this was just exquisite. I really, really loved it. There are a few criticisms I have about it, but for the most part, it was really good. Next book I'm going to talk about is the other ebook on this list, which is Malibu Rising, which is the other Taylor Jenkins Reid book I mentioned previously. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. This is probably, like, at the top of this list if I had to rank them. Read it as an ebook back in October, and I absolutely devoured it. I loved it. This was the first Taylor Jenkins Reid book that I really, really connected to the writing, and I really loved her writing, and I was able to build some very strong attachments to all 4 of the main characters. That being said, it follows 4 siblings, and they are all descendants of Mick Riva, who is this very famous celebrity who often appears in the other books by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And it follows their story in the present, and also their dad and their mom's story, and, like, their coming of age years. I just thought it was excellent. I loved all of the sibling dynamics and the parents' story and the relationships with the parents and just everything about it. I had no bad things to say about this book, and I loved it, and it was just awesome. So there it is. That's it. That is it. Okay, getting down to the nitty-gritty. Next book on this list is another one I feel like I talked an awful lot about at the beginning of the year, but I'm talking about it again, and that is City of Thieves. Looking back on this book, I just remember how much I loved it. This book follows two men in Russia, particularly Stalingrad, during World War II, and the premise is they've both been arrested and detained, and they're both headed for the executioner's block, and then they are given the chance to redeem themselves, and they're tasked with finding 12 eggs, I believe. Is it 12? Yeah, a dozen eggs for this colonel. And if you know anything about Russia during World War II, that's basically an impossible task. And then it just follows their story as they go around Russia trying to find these eggs in like a week. I really just love this book. It's very short. It's the shortest World War II book I've ever read. It just stuck with me, probably for, like, it's the first book about Russia, particularly during World War II, I've ever read. And just the relationship between the two main characters was so interesting and funny and heartbreaking, and their stories really stuck with me, and it was really good. So the next book on this list should come as no surprise, and that is Vanishing Half. I read this back in March, I think. I've been wanting to read this forever because everyone loves it. It's critically acclaimed. It's just amazing. And I understand the hype now. It follows two Black sisters, one of whom has been living her life as a white woman, and the other is living a very different life, and they're twins and they've been separated, and it follows their past to their future. It follows their whole lives, and the big mystery is basically like what happened to separate them and where did one of them go. And so I don't know, it was really beautifully written. It was just a great written novel, and the dynamics between the sisters and following their lives, living these two very separate, distinct existences, was really fascinating, and it was really good. Okay, last two books on this list. I have two videos for both of them. So first book we're going to talk about is Chain of Gold. Good Lord, this is heavy. I will put the video in the cards. It's like, I think I did like the first half is spoiler free, and then the second half is all spoilers. I had a lot to say about this one, so there's that video for you guys. This was my first time reading this book, and I had been anticipating reading this series for a long time, and I finally got my hands on this lovely, lovely beast, and I just absolutely loved it. It was great. I think these are my favorite group of Cassie Clare characters, arguably. Just there's so many of them, and they're all so different and complex, and it's a wild ride. Basically this trilogy, the Last Hours trilogy, set in the Shadowhunter world, and you know, half angel, half human, fighting demons, protecting humanity, yada yada yada. It is what it is. I enjoyed this one. I really did. It was really good. So the follow up to that one is Chain of Iron, which is the sequel that came out in May. I liked this one better. than the other one, but they're both 5 stars. But this one was just so superior in my eyes. It was a lot more character driven, and which appealed to me, and there's so much happened in this book. The video I have for this one is so long. So again, I'll put this one in the cards right now, but it was so good. I really loved this book. It was great. That's like really all I can say about that. Yeah, there it is. Those were the 13 books that I really, really loved. And some of these are now all-time favorites. I'm sure I'll be rereading them all at some point. Not all, but a lot of them this year, because I just feel like I need to. So yeah, a great reading year. Hope 2022 is just as good, if not better. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, subscribe, maybe possibly. Peace out. Goodbye. End the video.